How can creative leaders build capacity in a sociopolitical hellscape? According to certified professional coach Leigh Cambre, the keys are structural self-care, boundaries, and Enneagram pattern awareness. You're listening to The Creative Impostor. I'm content director, impact producer, and your host, Andrea Klunder. Hey, it's 2026. Do you feel different? Not yet? It's okay. I heard last year that February was the new January, which I loved. And then this year, I heard 2 different podcasts reference that the new year used to begin at the end of March, closer to spring for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, up until Julius Caesar changed it for dubious reasons. So I'm going with that. The vibe for now is slowly easing toward the new year and aligning with the natural flow of the seasons. In that spirit, our 2025 series on creativity and media as resistance continues now with certified professional coach, energy leadership index master practitioner, that's a mouthful, and Enneagram practitioner, Leigh Cambre. I met Leigh years ago at my friend Lauren's birthday party, a very fancy boat cruise in Lake Michigan off the coast of Chicago. And believe me when I say that both Leigh and I can talk. However, during that first connection, I found myself pouring out my life story to him. Why? I don't know. He just has that personality that draws things out of you, and he's a great listener, which is probably a good quality to have for a coach. We recorded this convo in 2025, and I feel like some things have already started to shift since then. Maybe it's just public opinion that's shifted. I hope it has. But the resistance is far from over. So, Leigh and I go deep into understanding and relating to personalities, both our own and others, to try to get a grasp on what might be going on in people's heads. The conclusion? It's a tough one, for me at least. There is no them. There is only us, and how each of us reacts to things in the world is largely based on personality patterns. Are you nodding along or feeling skeptical? Either way, I encourage you to keep listening to this conversation with Leigh Cambre. All right. Welcome to the Creative Impostor, Creativity and Media as Resistance series. I'm here with Leigh Cambre, who is streaming to us from New York City, yeah?
New York City, Hell's Kitchen.
So we got New York and Chicago, the duel between the New York and the second city, right?
I'm glad you know.
Urban dueling.
I know, but I've been to Chicago 3 or 4 times in the summer, and for me, Chicago wins. Every time I go there, it's cleaner, it's spacious, it's beautiful, it's cleaner. And it's cleaner. Did I say that? It's so much cleaner.
It's only because we have alleys for our trash.
I tell people I want New York to burn down so that we can have alleys as well.
This is the last thing I'll say about Chicago. In our little love letter to Chicago is that I know somebody who just moved here about a year ago from Philly. And she was like, "Can I tell you what I love about Chicago?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "The width of the sidewalks."
Yes.
Yes. Like, on my list of things to say about Chicago, it never occurred to me that width of sidewalk was like a perk.
Oh, you learn when you live in New York City and the brownstones exit onto the street and there's someone coming at you and one of you has to move. So you have to walk onto the street. So yes, wide sidewalks, just glorious. Glorious. Yes.
Well, thank you for that. And this is not a podcast about Chicago and New York and urban planning and sidewalks. This is a podcast about creative leadership. And this is a series about using creativity and media as resistance. And Leigh, I brought you on here because we met through our common friend, Lauren Ramsey. And
Yes.
I love your energy. I love what you stand for. I love what you post on social. Social media is one of those places lately where it is either a major hellscape, and I'm like, why am I here? What am I doing? Put the phone down, get off the social media. But there are those few accounts that when I see a post from those accounts, it makes me smile. It feels lighter. I feel unburdened. And you are one of
Oh,
those accounts. So thank you for your
oh,
Instagram.
oh my gosh. Thank you. That is really sweet to say. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it's the world I live in.
Okay, so tell us more about the world that you live in. What is it that you are doing in the world right now, besides just having like a really great energy and being friends with my friend? Why do you think I invited you to talk about creativity and media as resistance?
What I do, what I have been living for is being creative and living my own life, especially as an entrepreneur. I am someone that has never wanted to be pinned down, and I want to have a good time, and I want to make a lot of choices and have the freedom to make a lot of choices. And so for me, the tie-in and what I was modeled by my mom and kind of my dad in a way, my dad being a pastor and my mom being an entrepreneur, is that if you want like real freedom, you're going to have to work hard to make your own career.
Hmm.
And so that has always been some version of what I've been doing in my life. I literally have never done a 9 to 5 in my life. And for the first time in my life since the pandemic happened, I chose to work my version of 9 to 5, which is 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., which I love. It still is up to me. And I can still decide to end it early because I'm my own boss. So it's lovely to create my own existence and way of having access and power. And when I say access and power, I mean money.
Mm.
And so I call myself, having said all of that, a small business coach. And my niche is working with LGBTQ and women entrepreneurs who have employees in their second to 10th year of business. That's very specific, but those are my people. And then kind of for fun, but it still is professional, is studying personality for a living, how we each perform. And my tool of choice is called Enneagram.
And we are definitely going to sneak into some Enneagram because I like it. That's why.
Great. Yes.
It's my
Perfect.
show. We could do what we want.
Yes. I guarantee you it's on topic and I
Okay.
will connect the dots.
Fabulous. How did you arrive at the niche, the very specific niche that you described as women and LGBTQ plus with employees in their what years of business?
Second to 10th year of business. I'm a life coach starting in 2011. And then in 2022, I had a couple of clients say, "Oh, you're my business coach." And I was like, "What? Huh? I'm your life coach." Wait a minute. And it's because I started a staffing company in 2013. And then at that moment, I was like, wait a minute. They're starting to ask me about all of the parts of my business. Oh, okay. I'm a business coach and I still have the life parts that are a part of it. And that led me to sell my company. Let's see, it's 13 months ago at this point. So where I'm only focusing on the coaching and I'm not doing the staffing company anymore. I've sold it. I'm now
I didn't know
completely
that.
separated from the staffing company. Surprise. Now this is
Nice.
the niche of, okay, now that I'm free and I'm only doing the coaching, who do I want to serve? And the answer became, oh my God, this is who I'm serving, is LGBTQ and women entrepreneurs with employees in their second to 10th year of business. That is my clientele who I'm serving. And I speak very specifically to them because part of it is I relate. I get their worlds and backgrounds. And I also, my heart shines for this group because it is isolating to be a leader. It is isolating to be a business owner because you are one and only. and there's no others that are even peers oftentimes. And I felt that when I had my company. So there we are.
So here we are in the United States with probably the worst political administration that I have ever lived through in my existence, at least that I'm old enough to remember.
I hear you.
I think it's objectively worst. However, I say worst because in alignment with my values, everything that's happening is out of alignment with my values and out of alignment with what I think is important. And the world that I want to inhabit, the world that I want to create, the world that I want to facilitate. And I think that for your demographic, there are some specific challenges, and everything that I say sounds like I'm sugarcoating things. There are some specific challenges. Does that even really describe the reality of what is actually happening right now in our country?
I am going to say yes, because to me, it is important that all voices are heard. Part of what the American idea is founded on is freedom of speech. And for everyone to have a voice, whether they're in agreement with your and my values or not, is valuable for us to consider and then decide no. And so the thing that's beautiful about our system is that we are allowed to say it. The beautiful thing about our system is that people who have felt not heard are feeling very heard right now. Had the last election gone the way I wanted it to, I think there would have been an insane revolt by the people that did not get their way, or that did get their way now. For me, I feel very similar to you, but I have a lot of compassion for people that don't, that are in the place of finally I'm being heard, for the place of the ideas that they have, I don't understand. Because I feel that way about them. I don't understand your point of view. And that part of that is the itch wasn't getting scratched for them. And I will say, 2015, when gay marriage happened in our country due to Obergefell, I might be mispronouncing it, I felt incredibly seen. And then there was an era of like, this is my era. And so for them to have an opportunity to be seen, as much as I am literally nauseated by so much of what's going on, I think it's an important aspect of things that should be going on. It's like a necessary evil. The pendulum needs to swing. Otherwise, we're stuck in just one system, and then there's no experimentation and all that kind of stuff. It's not a defense of what's going on, but it is a way for me, this is Leigh's world, of going, that's what's going on for me. Okay. And then I move on. It's hard.
No, it's a challenging position. And I wish that I could. I'm so bad with attribution because I remember things, they pop into my head in conversation. And I'm like, I heard a thing, but I don't know where I heard it. I remember how I felt when I heard it, but where did it come from? And I recently heard somebody say that we will not move forward in our society until we can reckon with the fact that there is no us and them, there is only us. And I was like, I want to believe that, but I'm having a real hard time.
Perfect segue for me into understanding my study of Enneagram. Enneagram is a 2,000-year-old system of personality. Homer's Odyssey, that epic, had 9 metaphorical locations. It matches the 9 archetypes of Enneagram. Dante's Inferno visited 7 layers of hell. The 7 different sins that they were combating on those 7 layers match 7 of the 9 emotional vices. All of this to say, what I'm pointing at here, these are ancient truths. This is not a modern day description of your personality. This is where personality comes from. And at some level, it's spiritual and it's existential. And it really does define what you just said. It literally is us, and that's it. There is no them outside of personality. Within it, yes, we have made up allegiances, made up notions. Society and cultural ideas have a lot of made up, we all agree to play the game kind of ideals. And so as long as we continue to play that game, which I participate in it as well, it is I think a nearly necessary function unless you're a guru that lives on top of a mountain and learning to float in meditative stance. If you're that, you might be able to step outside. That's never going to be me. So I'm always going to be playing the game at some level. I firmly agree with it. It's only us. It is only us. You are a human that has a body and has a skin and has an organ that's pumping that allows you to stay conscious. That's everyone in terms of humans.
Okay.
So I'm very much there.
So then back it up a second. We said a weird word that some people in my audience have heard for sure. And some people in my audience are like, what the F are they talking about? And that is the Enneagram.
It is the most impactful tool for life and for business. One of the breakthrough ways for me to understand is that in development of being a human, there was a time in which we weren't able to not just be in the present, but also be in the past and be in the future. That is part of what makes us different. And so I'm going to be describing mammals here. Mm-hmm. In the mammalian world, there is the body and the body intelligence of instinct. There is the heart, which represents the feeling part of who we are. And there is the mind, the head intelligence. The head intelligence is the most recently developed in terms of evolution. And naturally, our world is going to have more heavily head influence because that is what makes us so different from other mammals. But we are still animals. B, what Enneagram is describing is that out of head, out of heart, and out of body, one of them is just slightly leaning forward, running the show. And so case in point for me, I am in Enneagram language, I'm a head type. I am letting my head run the show. I am processing everything through my head, looking at complex sets of ideas and very into creation, analysis, rationality and irrationality as well, but just everything of the head. And that's also where that high energy of where I shine is a very head type kind of thing. And so it's not that I don't also feel and I don't also listen to my body. It's just that is the one that's the loudest and leans forward the most. Mm-hmm. But in Enneagram theory, everyone either leans forward with the head, the heart, or the body more, but they still are human. So they have all of them. It's that slight nuance from which personality comes from. In theory, a third of the people on this planet are body, a third are heart, and a third are head. And so just so you can hear this, head types have that slight advantage because school is a head type game. Therapy is a head type game. Having just intellectual conversation, head type game. Where heart types, they want to be seen and connect. Where body types, just getting out there and moving is going to help. And so that's not how our schooling and culture is built. It's built around head type because it is the most recently developed kind of thing. And so this is just the top layer. There's so much more to unpack, but that's a high level way of understanding the 9 different personality archetypes. 3 for head, 3 for heart, 3 for body.
Okay, this is a quick side note. So the side note is that the first time I ever heard of this was way back in my 20s when I was doing non-equity storefront theater here in Chicago as an actor. And I had an acting class that I took with a teacher here named Ruthie Landis. And she actually did an acting class using the Enneagram where you would figure out what your personality type was, you as the actor. And then you would figure out for your character that you're portraying what Enneagram type they were. And then you would make choices about their choices based on their personality. It was this magical thing that I was like, this is so complicated and useful and beautiful. Yes. I loved it so much.
It blew my mind to understand once I started studying Enneagram to go, wait a minute. That's how they're thinking? That's what's going on in their head? I had no idea. I had no idea that's what was going on.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. And having been a performer myself, that was one of my first thoughts was, man, if I was a theater teacher, I would do Enneagram and have them study this. I think she was onto something because I can now see every person when I'm watching a screen, any character, I'm like, oh, that's a type 9. what a genius, authentic way to show that person up, because all personalities are based out of one of these 9 types. And so if you're trying to portray someone that's not you, to grasp what the core emotion is, to grasp what the inner desires are, what the strong conflicts of what you're avoiding are, to understand what's going on underneath the hood changes all of your angles of, I know their motivations now, so you can show up and act differently.
And I'm curious, like, if we take this out of the theater setting and the performance setting, how do you use this in real life with your clients? And how do you figure out which type you are?
Yeah, great question. And Enneagram is often mixed in with all these other personality types. For example, I am an ENFJ. And once I learned that, I was proudly sharing, oh, I'm a Myers-Briggs ENFJ. I'm extroverted. I'm intuitive. I was sharing what I was proudly. What they don't tell you about Enneagram when you begin it, understandably, is that this is your wiring and how you're over coping. I'm going to use the phrase, this is what you're overdoing and it's not good. And so there are strengths to it, but you're overdoing it. And so to wake up to your patterns of why you keep having that facepalm moment over and over and over, I can point to your Enneagram and go, that's why. Look at this pattern. You keep seeing that happening because businesses are energetic replicas of its leader. If you don't come awake to what your type is, and therefore what your unconscious motivations are, you're going to continually get in your way and not know how to solve it. Once you work with me, the first thing I require, here's an Enneagram test. And the next session, we're just talking about you. Because if you aren't awake to you, and also if you don't get that I get what's going on, then we would miss the opportunity where it's like a patterned thing. For example, type 3s are shapeshifters. They're always shifting their personality so they can be successful. And if they're not awake to, I'm a heart type, I just want to connect with people, I just want to be seen, and that's why I'm shapeshifting, then they're going to keep missing the game. They're going to keep missing the whole point. Like, that's what's going on. And so I start with personality with everyone. And then I move to, what is it that you want in your life outside of work? And then we go on the work journey and talk about everything you need to know about work and life. Life also comes in. And so this is a core part of everything I do. And then I have clients that don't work on business with me. They're in business. I have 2 clients right now. We're working on personality way more than business. Because again, you're going to be replicating your energy over and over and over if you don't catch that's what you're doing.
For sure. There's definitely, as somebody who's been in business and had multiple businesses and been self-employed for, I don't even know how long now at this point, there's almost no way to like extricate what is my personal life and what is my business life because they're not 2 separate things.
Literally that. The gift of a business, especially when you own it, is the ability to create the life you want. And so we want to have a successful business that brings in money because money solves problems. And so as you have the money coming in, you then get the choice to create the company that is supporting everything you want to do. But it's in that order.
Yeah, I think for me, part of the problem is that I like to try to take things out of order. I'm like, the money's the last part, right? Like we do all the other stuff. We do the feel good things. We do the like change the world things. We do the like supporting all the other people. And then what is the worst like cliche advice? Like follow your passion and the money will follow, or like whatever, follow your, like I don't think that's true. It's like looks nice on the side of a mug, but
absolutely. It could be true. That's the thing. If your passion is going to have people line up and buy, then yes, your passion will be the way. But if your passion is something that lots of people share, and there's lots of it in this world, you're going to be, for example, a performer in New York. where you're not working in your career field because there's a lot of people that have the same passion as you. And so it is a numbers game, and you might be lucky. You might be the one. It really is possible, and I really hope for you. And I have had people before that I know and clients of mine that did get very successful from being the best, but it is a lot of work.
And so to take this even a step further, so we took it from acting and performing to business in real life, to put it in this social political moment culture that we're in right now, where specifically for your demographic of clients, there are some unique challenges that are happening at this moment in that pendulum swing. What is understanding more about ourselves and our motivations and what we may be overdoing, our patterns? How does this relate to specific challenges that you're seeing with your clients and the people that you work with now? Are the things that they're coming here with, is the context different? Are the problems different? Or is it same?
It's different. It is so unique for each person and more predictable based on Enneagram type, which without knowing Enneagram, I would not have been able to see those patterns. And I can see them because of it, where I'm like, oh, my 4 clients who are type 8, 8s are body types. Body types want to move, and challengers is the 8. They want control. They understand control is vitally important to what they do, and they suffer when they lose control, especially when there's this thing called subtype, where we take the self-preservation instinct of survival, the sexual one-on-one instinct of survival, and the social tribe group of survival that colors the type, and we call that subtype. So my social, once again, looking at the tribe and community, with type 8, I want to have control. I have one of those clients where it feels entirely out of control because she has same political beliefs as you and I, and she is struggling to quiet the noise outside of her of this social political dynamic right now. And so for her, it is a game of how can we limit those voices so that you can then work on the mindfulness and self-care that you need. Because, and she brought this point up to me, even my husband doesn't deal with this. I don't know how he's doing it. He's doing something that I'm not doing. And I'm like, it's about type and instinct. This is a double whammy for you, client, because that's hard. If you are just by nature tuned into tribe and community, which for Americans means America and fairness and justice, this time and season, especially when you're on this side of the politics, is going to be hard. And my heart goes out. That is just a tumultuous time. Whereas for me, for example, I'm self-preservation dominant and I'm social repressed. And so for my self-preservation, worrying about self, this is not as big of a deal for them, what's going on in society, until it affects them. And right now it's not affecting me. And so it's just not an issue. And so for them, it is more about just the career, just the day-to-day. You know, my field's doing great. Real estate is doing fine right now. You know, so everyone that has different, focuses, it affects people differently. My event photographer, she's doing fine. Like, people are still getting married. Is it going to change? So far, no. So great. And so it's very individual in that way.
How are you enjoying the episode so far? If you're with us to this point, then you're definitely a podcast person. Are you also a podcast creator or even a pod dreamer? Well, whether you're already putting your voice out there or thinking of creating your own show, this can be your year to take your creative expression, storytelling, and community building to the next level by crafting a more powerful podcast that influences people to take positive action. Over the next few weeks from the release of this episode, I'm offering a handful of free 30-minute consultations where we can discuss the strategic positioning of your existing podcast or the idea that's been tumbling around your mind. These sessions are ideal for you if you're serious about creating an influential podcast that makes the world a better place, i.e., a place we all want to live in. Leveraging your current show for even more results, or you've had a podcast on pause and you're ready for a fresh comeback. I have a handful of openings available. It's completely free, and it is not a sales call. I'm not even going to pitch you unless you ask me nicely. All you need to do is go to bit.ly/powerfulpod, choose your time, and fill out a short form. And after you complete that booking, I will review everything that you've shared with me and come to our session ready with ideas about your more powerful podcast. Once again, grab your spot at bit.ly/powerfulpod, linked for you in the show notes for this episode. Every time I've taken an Enneagram test, and I've taken a lot of them because I'm always like, I don't know if this one is right. I don't know. There's always 3 numbers that come up really high for me. So it's always 3, which is what I've always assumed that I was. 8 and 1. Like, I kind of get all of those. Like, when I read them, I'm like, yeah, that could be me. Yeah, that could be me. Yeah, that could be me. And so I'm kind of curious now with thinking about, I haven't gotten that deep into it. I mostly just take the test and then I'm like,
great. Now
read the
what?
thing. Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious as to how I figure out which one, like, is it 1? Is it 3? Is it 8?
Yes. Here's a few things on that. One is the quality of tests has gotten better and better. And having the subtype, which turns it from 9 types to 27 subtypes.
Yeah.
Each of the instincts to each of the 3 types. So for a 3, there's a self-preservation 3, a sexual 3, and a social 3. Well, what that creates with each type organically is that one of the combinations is called a counter type. So when they read the standard person who's a type 3, they're like, some of that relates. But then when you get to subtype, and so for example, the counter type of 3 is self-preservation 3, they don't show up like the rest of the 3s. The sexual 3 and social 3 are more outward and look at me and I'm going to perform. And the self-preservation 3, the counter type, pulls in and goes, I just want to take care of myself. I don't need all the name brand things. I don't need to be showy. So when they're reading type 3, they're like, this doesn't relate to me as well. I just give you that example to say, first of all, the assessments that have been out there have not been good and they're still in process.
Okay.
But the most accurate test I found is the CP Enneagram, which you can find on my website. So that'll probably be the easiest way for people to find it, is leighcambre.com. On my website, I have that link to that test. It's not my test, it's their test.
Yeah.
And that is the best getting you to subtype assessment out there.
Okay.
But secondly, when you asked at the beginning, hey, how does someone find out? It's only you that can figure it out. Even when you take this assessment, it accurately says your likely type is, because then you have to confirm it. It's about your inner world. And so if you are reading it and you're nodding most of the time, we found it. But if you're like, because what you just described is everyone's experience in terms of everyone does relate to all types in ways because no one has the corner on. For example, I'm a 7, the enthusiast, and we tend to be positive. I don't have the corner on positivity. There's lots of types that are often appeering to be positive.
Although I'm sure I'm not a 7, Leigh. I'm 100% sure I'm not a 7.
Heard. I believe you. I believe you. You have that clear. Great. Okay, we rule out 7. And actually, when I do typing tests with people, I rule out one by one. That's the point. As I go through each one, I'm ruling it out until we get closer. And then it's like, okay, so based on this, let's talk about what's left. And I'll do differentiators. It's good for a human to do typing whenever you do get in the place you are of like, okay, I'm stuck between these 3. And then I'll just ask some questions and go, got it. This is what I'm hearing. But still, does this relate, this relate, this relate, this, and so we're still trying to find the one you nod to most.
Okay.
The third thing I'm going to say is the more awake you are, the more you defy type. And what I mean is when you are a kid, your type is on fire because you need one of these 9 archetypes to survive in this social cultural world as you're growing up. It is a protective tool to allow you to survive. For the type 2s, the helpers, they're giving away their toys so that they will be liked. So that way they can survive by having these social connections. The type 1, the perfectionist, is constantly yelling at themselves, saying, I'm not good enough, and having everything in detail as a way to make sure that Nothing is out of place and they can't have perfection. And so there's these tools that are needed. It is as adult that you look at it and yeah, there's a lot of that coping that did you well. What is not serving you today? So that way you can catch it, first observe that it's happening. So that's why I find time to go, oh, this is all of these things are my personality. Great. As you see it happen, that one keeps getting in the way. So then you can start making new choices kind of thing. Yeah. It does start with identifying it though.
So for you, I mean, you kind of mentioned how you can see these challenges that people are having and you can see these fears that are coming up with different people just depending on their personality type, depending upon all these different things. And for you, you feel like, okay, right now I am okay. I'm not in danger. When you hear the word resistance or when you think about sort of what you're putting out into the world, what does that bring up for you? Like, or do you feel like sometimes I'm like, I feel like I want to be part of the resistance, whatever that means. But then sometimes I feel like I also just want to like lay on the couch and watch a dumb movie and pretend everything is fine.
Yes.
Does it bring up, like, do you feel like you're part of the resistance? How would you define that?
So where my strengths are is boundaries. I am very boundaried. It is core to who I am to be balanced and to have boundaries. And where that shows up for me is self-care. I go out of my way to make sure I take care of me because I love me and I love feeling good. And so that is numero uno for me. As long as I can protect that, then life comes at me and I have capacity to deal with all of these things. And the way for me I see it is that I am not the frontline person. I am the support for frontline people. I am there to help them take care of them so that they can fight harder. It is not my zone of genius to be the frontline person.
Yeah.
I can be a voice out there that represents balance and boundaries and self-care and self-love and confidence.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I teach that. My favorite people to work with are those frontline people who are hugely successful, but not loving their life the way they're wanting it to be. Or in my business world, it's got to be easier. I'm stressed out. I'm going up and down and I'm on fire, but this doesn't feel right. And then I teach them, we're finding the middle ground between their disaster experience of what they created and my overdone boundaries and balance. I'm like, nope, this is the line. I say no. And they're not going to say no to everything, but to say no one time, breakthrough for them. My resistance is supporting those who resist.
Yeah, I love that. And also, I want to pick apart self-care because that has become such almost like a cliche or like self-care, kind of thing where it feels a little soft, a little wishy-washy. Tell me what that looks like for you.
So the way I describe it, whenever I'm looking at my schedule, so if we break up a week into daytime and nighttime, and so this is the case in point, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, daytime is, for most people, work. And so that leaves Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday nights. That's 5 slots. Then Saturday, we'll call it a day slot and night slot, 2 slots. Sunday, day and night, 2 slots. So that's 9 slots total that aren't work.
For who? I'm sorry, I don't recognize that many non-work slots.
Fascinating. This is why we're having this conversation. This is perfect. So that, because I absolutely will personalize it to you and I'll be really curious. I'm like, tell me more about why you work so much. I already have curiosities about who you are and how you're showing up. And out of these 9 slots, what do you do with them? Now, for parents, it might be parent. It could be work and parenting. And especially from the ages of 1 to 3, oh my gosh, that might be or 0 to 3, I should say. That might be what it is in that temporary season of life.
Yeah.
If it's not that season, and you're not a caretaker of some other human or animals, then what could you do with those times? And self-care to me, and I'm going back to self-care and balance, is dedicating 2 of those slots for you and you alone. Not us time, which is what I call partner time, not social time, not work, but just you. And my name for it is Blob time, where you have 2 slots of Blob time where you're doing whatever you want without any judgment, without any plans. And you're like letting the moment take you. What is it I want to do right now? Go to the movie, jack off, go talk to someone because I actually have that time and I want to just be spontaneous. Great. At least 2 slots a week of blob time. That to me is what self-care looks like structurally. I'm less concerned about what is happening in it. I'm more concerned about you honoring you and your existence twice a week.
I am often writing down phrases that pop out as I'm having these conversations as like potential title ideas. And I was like, do I put blob time in the title of this episode? That sounds so unserious.
Love it. Even better. I live for the unserious. I'm like, it is to me, that's another one of my joys. Talk about self-care. I love to feel good. I am leveraging on what tickles me in my life. And so what tickles me is A, knowing what feels good to me, and B, curating experiences in my life so that I get more of that. For me, blob time makes me giggle. So I'm like, yes, put it in the title.
So, Leigh, type 7, Mr. Positivity, Mr. Enthusiastic, Mr. Lightening the load for everybody on social media.
Yes.
Does it ever get hard for you? And what do you do? Do you ever feel the weight? What happens? What do you do? How do you coach yourself through that?
So this is one of those things I'm going to tell you everything I do, but it's not perfect. It is the part I overdo. So I just want to add that asterisk of I'm not living this this is that part where I'm like, Instagram is perfect and TikTok is reality. I want to pull the curtain and say the reality is what I'm about to describe are things on how I overcope. But the whole point of Enneagram as well, I'm overcoping in this. I need to learn what everyone else is doing. So anyone who's not a 7 can pick up from this and go, oh, I could use that tool. One of my tools is called rationalization. I will rationalize a pain away so I don't feel it. I overdo it. That's not great, but it's probably better for everyone that's not a 7 to consider using that as a tool because dopamine helps you. I mean, there's just so many benefits to the physical chemicals that when you're feeling good as they come out and allow you to feel better, allow you to get in flow, allow you to be creative. And if you don't use these tools, you'll be stuck in that negative place that then you're ruminating and your mind's getting the best of you. So whenever I'm having tough times, I instinctively and naturally ask myself the questions like, what is the opportunity here? Instead of focusing on the problem, what could go better? What is it that I need to change so that I can have a better result? Out of the actions I could take, is there one that I could, with courage, bulldoze through so that I can get to the better result quicker? And still live within my morals because I know what feels good to me. And again, I'll go back to rationalization. If it doesn't feel good, I'll rationalize the reason why. I'll be like, well, actually, the reason he's mad at me is because he's jealous, and that's not necessarily true, but it'll allow me to move forward and to then serve others again, And so these tools of taking care of my psyche allow me to withstand a lot of capacity.
Yeah, and that makes sense, being as you've sort of divined your role as being the support person.
Yes, exactly.
The people who are taking the primary impact on the front line need that support person to have the capacity to be able to offer that support so that all ties together. It makes perfect sense. Huh. Interesting. I love it. I'm so impressed at how I think in my notes to you, I had said, what did it say? Okay, I'd love to see how the Enneagram ties into this theme. And I'm like, you've kind of blown my mind in the past 50 minutes.
It has continued to blow my mind. I am officially certified from the CP Enneagram Academy, and I'm probably at 20% because it is purposefully incredibly comprehensive and hard to understand. The point of you finding your type. So first of all, and I will say subtype, find your subtype. That's just the beginning. Find your subtype and then catch all of the patterns that you're doing. Catch them all. Note them. That will take months and years for you to see them all in practice. Once you've identified it and start to catch you doing it, what you're doing is giving yourself secret powers so that you can overcome what's going on. And I'll just give you one example for me. As a head type, one of my 7 things is I want things to feel good all the time. And owning a business, sometimes it's hard and you have to make decisions and move. Guess what? Body types, that's their thing. They're kind of counter to that. They will make quick moves. They will move before thinking. Whereas head types are going to think all day and forever if they can, kind of thing, to avoid making the move. And so having caught that over and over of like, oh, I'm thinking again. Oh, I'm thinking again. Oh, I'm thinking again. 3 years into Enneagram, I was like, I'm going to change. I'm going to choose something differently. I'm going to take action. I'm going to make a choice and move because I want the results of what this company is going to give me. So I started taking action and it was the answer. It's exactly what I needed to do. Stop analyzing and moving allowed me to collect the data. And it's still not as fast as a body type would do it. So it's reasoned and still thoughtful thinking, but at least now I'm collecting data and making money in the meantime. It was a huge change. And then step 3, the last piece here that I will offer is that you've started working on yourself here. It's then to really intimately learn the other 8 types and say it again, other 26 subtypes, so that you can start to see what's happening with other people. Because as you know what's going on with them, you're going to suddenly change everything of how you show up for them. Oh, a type 9 is a peacemaker and they're others oriented. On the scale of self-referential to other referential, I am the most self-referential there is. I just assume that's how everyone exists, that everyone knows what's going on with themselves because that's my experience. 9s are constantly checking with others and their body is giving them an instinct of like, for example, hey, where do you want to go eat? And they don't love Chinese food. And so they could say anything but Chinese, but instead of them answering the question of anything but Chinese, they'll go, I don't mind. What do you want? Because what they're saying to themselves is, okay, if I say something that they like, if I say not Chinese and they say Chinese, I'll create conflict. And so I'll just go with it. And then they never listen to themselves. And that's just one tiny example. And so that for me to learn that blew my mind, like blew my mind emoji right here. I'm just like, what? That's a personality? Like people actually exist. These people who are out there and they're like fully formed humans there are type 9s out there. What?
The 2 things that I love about that example are being able to see your own patterns and not suffer because of them, but to be able to make a different choice, to be able to say, oh, this is what I would normally do, or this is what I get stuck doing all the time. Let me try something else that is counterintuitive to how I would normally respond in this and see what happens. And then the other part is understanding, I mean, how many times are you in a situation where somebody is saying a thing or doing a thing or behaving in a way or making a choice that you're like, I have no idea what is going on in that person's head right now.
Right. The mysteries of life with other people suddenly start having answers to. It's like you suddenly have an answer and you start having so much more compassion, which allows you to go from us versus them to us. Oh, look at that circle back. Look at that callback I did to the first idea.
Good.
It is that kind of mind-blowing situation. What is happening with all of us is all of us are metaphorically in a house and all of us have one room that is unexplored. It's off limits and it's different for every person, even if we have similar house layouts. The journey of Enneagram is opening the door to that room. When you open it, it's dark, it's not lit up, there's cobwebs everywhere, and you don't like how it's designed, where you can't even see what's going on. Then you start walking in, and it's existentially scary to walk in that room. Then you finally shine a light in there, and you're like, okay, I've shone a light in there. I can do this. And then you clean up the cobwebs, and you start rearranging the furniture, and then you start getting comfortable with that room. And that is a breakthrough months and 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 months long experience to do that, because that's your hidden room. And when I tell you it's your hidden room, I mean, nearly everyone else is going, Oh, that's your issue? That's not my issue. Oh, I've been in that. My room's been designed. I like had IKEA in there and I took it out and I had a West Elm. I didn't like that anymore. And I got a new set of furniture, like they're like hanging photos in there, changing the lighting. And you're like, I'm scared to go in. It's that.
Yeah. That is a beautiful place for us to wrap up. And now I'm thinking about IKEA. And I always feel calmer. Just they're little rooms. They're little rooms that you go in and everything is perfectly arranged. And I'm like, I could live in this room. This room is like perfect as it is. When things are feeling overwhelming, maybe that'll be my new coping strategy is to just go to IKEA and exist in those perfect little rooms there.
It makes all the difference when you're like, it feels good. It's just pleasing. I love
Yes. So everyone, I would like you to please visit Leigh's website. That's leighcambre.com. That will be linked, of course, in the show notes in the episode description in your app. It's also Leigh Cambre on Instagram. And of course, the Creativity and Media as Resistance series continues. You can find the playlist on YouTube of all of our past live streams and any upcoming ones that are scheduled. bit.ly/creativity as resistance takes you to the YouTube channel. And those come out in the Creative Impostor podcast feed on your favorite podcast app. Leigh, as I am saying all the promotional end of episode boring things, is there anything coming to your mind that you feel like you want to leave our listeners with? Anything that you didn't get to say that's bubbling up to the surface?
I'm going to speak to all of the business owners out there first. If you're LGBTQ or a women business owner, please reach out. Let's connect. There is a better way to do what you're doing, no matter where you are, because, and this is the part that applies to everyone, everyone's personality has pieces that is not going to serve the life that they want. And so just to understand and start that Enneagram journey, whether you're a business owner in my ideal niche or not, there are better ways to show up for yourself, your life, your dreams, and your visions. And the more you get to know yourself and your patterns, the more you'll be able to step out of them in a very impactful way. It takes work. So get that Enneagram test off of my site. It's worth the journey, is what I'll say.
So, how will you be showing up for yourself, your life, and your creative work this year? Send me an email to Andrea@infuselife.net. We have a whole series coming up about when your art becomes your job, and I'd love to have your story on the show. Also, if podcasting might be part of that creative plan for the coming months, either your current show or one you're pod dreaming of, don't forget to book your complimentary strategy session with me. The link, like all the rest, is in the show notes. The Creative Impostor is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Andrea Klunder. Our technical director is Edwin R. Ruiz. Theme music by Jovia Armstrong. Thank you for listening, and if you're curious about your Enneagram type or subtype, and you take the test, or if you already know what it is, indulge me, email me, let me know. I'm so curious what personalities are in our audience.